This is the largest tornado in recorded history, heading straight for storm chasers desperately trying to escape. In just a couple of minutes, this monster would become one of the strongest, most infamous tornadoes in modern history. But how did this happen? An EF5 tornado just went through Moore, Oklahoma, leveling multiple neighborhoods. The large Oklahoma City metro is left in shock at the devastation. May is an active time for tornadoes in Oklahoma, but nothing like this could have been predicted. One thing about the weather, though, is that it stops for no one. As the weather system responsible for the EF5 tornado fades to the east, a new system follows from behind. Forecasters notice a strong trough on weather models and note it will intensify over central Oklahoma as winds push from a region of high pressure to low pressure. A band of robust winds foster the wind shear needed for storms to form. The summer heat and strong moisture from the Gulf blend in these areas as well, giving the atmosphere every ingredient it would need for supercell thunderstorms. But still, not every supercell is a disaster.
It feels like South Florida. I gotta tell you, my hands have been sticky all day. There's just a ton of moisture in the atmosphere right now, and a couple of storms that have already begun to fire here. Gonna show them to you. Off to our north here, this is one that's gonna head toward, we believe, Cashin. You can see a well-delineated base to this. So we're gonna have to position ourselves in a way that lets those storms slide by us, where we can kind of avoid the larger hail cores because they've already put down some big hail.
Hundreds, possibly thousands of chasers have chosen today to chase storms. I mean, it was perfect. Right in the middle of Tornado Alley, summer had just rolled around, and a huge tornado had just occurred in the exact same area, enticing chasers with the prospect of another potentially historic event. With the risk directly situated on central Oklahoma, storm chasers needed a good place to sit and wait while still avoiding traffic from the huge Oklahoma City. To the west of the Oklahoma City metro, the town of El Reno presented itself as the perfect target for chasers. I want to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor of today's video. Now back to the video. With the El Reno area packed with chasers, at 4:30 p.m., a blip on radar appears, and then a couple more. With the extreme instability present, or available energy in the atmosphere, these blips are quickly going to turn into monster supercells. Renowned storm chaser Tim Samaras tweets about the dangerous potential ahead. Storms now initiating south of Watauga along the triple point. Dangerous day ahead for Oklahoma. Stay weather savvy. Tim is chasing with his group to Estex. His son, Paul Samaras, and a close colleague of his named Carl Young accompany him as part of the team. Their goal? Get life-saving data of tornadoes using instruments like pressure probes. In fact, back in 2003, Tim had set the world record for the lowest pressure drop ever recorded in a tornado, and he was out there to do it again, risking his life for the safety of those around him. By 5 p.m., many of the cells are spinning and producing massive hail. This would be the start of the storm's dangerous behavior. It's not long until they begin to merge into one giant complex, with the southernmost storm becoming dominant. This dominance allows it to tap into atmospheric ingredients more efficiently and spin tighter than the others. Rapid rotation encompasses the base of the storm, and a large wall cloud forms. This wall cloud highlights the mesocyclone of the storm, essentially the portion capable of producing a tornado.
Right here, we're just south, about 2 miles and maybe a mile west of El Reno. This is a pretty good storm right here. Got this cloud right here.
At 6:01 p.m., the first report of a tornado appears. When exactly this tornado actually touched down, however, is a little murky, as the actual base of the storm is enormous. Instead of a thin funnel emerging from the spinning clouds, dust began to swirl randomly underneath the entire storm. While currently weak, it's obvious that something big is about to happen. It's just a matter of when. At 6:03, a small funnel stretches to the ground before lifting back in the air.
Okay guys, I think that's a little close.
It's down. Down right behind the trees.
On the ground.
Another small funnel on the ground. We got multiple vortexes. Multi-vortexes.
That's moving away from us. We're good. We are in a perfect
What about
spot.
lightning?
This is our first look at what is called a sub-vortex. You see, tornadoes are not exactly one single spiral into the air, but rather multiple strong vortices of wind spinning around a common center. Typically, these vortices are so close and similar in strength that they appear as one. But in this storm, the area of rotation is so large and has so much energy. These sub-vortices appear erratically and discretely under the base. Multiple smaller circulations converge and morph towards one main tornadic circulation, and the entire beast sways around unpredictably. If this isn't already confusing enough, the situation becomes more erratic as multiple instances of twins to even quadruplet tornadoes occur. The storm is currently moving at a moderate 20 miles per hour to the southeast. Remember this number for later. To the southeast of the storm, a tornado touring group called Tempest Tours, with multiple visitors, are watching the tornado. Mesmerized by it, the group's leaders are unaware of how close the actual tornado is, as the small subvortices dance around in random directions. In fact, the edge of the circulation is less than 3 minutes from them. The tour leader is watching the increasingly erratic vortices carefully. He expects to see the tornado moving from left to right, which would indicate the tornado is moving from west to east, the expected direction of motion. Instead, they see no motion. That's when they realize something terrifying. The tornado is moving directly towards the tour group. The tour leader immediately honks his horn to get the group back in the van. At this moment, they have less than 60 seconds to get out of the tornado's path.
Yeah, we gotta move. Get in now. Get in now. Keep going around now. Shut that door.
The tour group members jump into the vans, and the convoy bombs southwards to escape the tornado's path. Fortunately, they are able to outrun the vortex, a rare occurrence in comparison to others. The majority of chasers have positioned themselves to the south of the tornado. This is because, again, the tornado should be moving to the northeast, but because of the sudden southeast motion, they find themselves scrambling to get out of the way of the powerful circulation. Due to the hundreds of chasers, mobility is severely hindered as traffic jams begin to form. The hype caused by the active season has caused a backlog of chasers itching to get as close to the tornado as possible. This is a grave mistake, as that decision, combined with the erratic motion and structure of the tornado, is creating one of the most dangerous environments around a tornado possible. Due east of the tornado at 6:09 p.m., storm chasers Brett Wright and Brandon Sullivan are watching the tornado only 3,000 yards away. The chaotic movement of the subvortices make it difficult to determine the movement of the tornado, but they assume the tornado is headed east to northeast, which would be essentially directly for them. Analyzing the situation, they decide the smartest possible thing to do would be to drive south, but this is a freak tornado, and the decision would place them in a deadly situation as winds begin to batter the vehicle.
Oh my gosh! Debris! Debris!
It's coming up! That whole thing's coming up!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Up with you.
Keep going, Andrew. Keep going. Keep going. Why is this guy stopping?
Watch that car!
You may be confused as to why they waited until the tornado was so close to them, but the same illusion that almost killed the tour group has struck again, making the motion seem much less direct than usual. The wet roads and gusting winds mean their car is limited to max 40 miles per hour, a speed which is not at all fast enough to escape the massive growing wind field. As the strongest inflow winds feeding into the tornado strike them, a nearby farmhouse is torn apart, pelting their car with debris and shattering the windshield. They are just barely able to keep moving though, escaping the tornado by less than 40 seconds. At the same moment, exactly 1 mile north of Wright and Sullivan, the Twistex group is turning east onto Reno Road. Right now, the team is trying to get in the path of the intensifying tornado by paralleling the tornado from the north. Their hope is to outrace it, allowing them to drive south ahead of it. As they follow the tornado, they no longer see a collection of subvortices like earlier, but instead a giant wedge, a tornado that's wider than it is tall. This doesn't mean that there aren't extreme subvortices though. In fact, They are just hidden inside the dust and debris. The only way to see where the sub-vortices are now would be by actually looking inside the storm, which is precisely what the crew in control of a mobile radar truck are doing. What they observed is very rare. For most normal tornadoes, the rotating core of the storm will exact its power into a single point. But here, the mesocyclone is so powerful, multiple distinct rotations are forming within the circulation. The wind speeds and erratic motion are alarming to the people inside the radar truck. Less than half a mile behind the Twistex crew, Reed Timmer and Team Dominator are also following the tornado. Storm chaser Ray Bohack is filming from within one of the team's 3 storm chasing vehicles. Dominator 1, he captures the monster in front of them. The massive wedge tornado can be seen in the center of the screen, with Team Twistex just up ahead, right next to the tornado. Unknown to the team though, they're in a very dangerous location. The radar truck records another vortex form over the El Reno airport. This vortex sweeps just behind the team, when suddenly another vortex forms further to the southwest side of the wedge. Within the storm, there are now 3 or more visible vortices rotating around each other. The radar truck crew observes how the formation of these new tornadoes causes some crazy, unpredictable behavior. Here, the main wedge is pulled north by the forming vortex, lunging towards Reno Road, towards the Twistex crew. Inside Twistex's vehicle, Paul Samaras has a video camera and is capturing the encounter. While the footage they recorded is lost, the dialogue of the 3 crew members has been transcribed. Carl Young urges Tim to continue east to get ahead of the tornado.
We get past it right now, Tim. It's no problem. Really, I have a clear shot.
But Tim realizes something's wrong.
We've got debris in the air. That's the problem.
As the wedge curves towards them, the outer bands begin to impact them, pelting the car with debris.
We've got to turn to the north. That's good. We're gonna follow it around to the north and get out of here.
They turn north onto Reformatory Road, battling 70-mile-per-hour winds feeding into the tornado. While this is happening, a civilian named Richard Henderson is also on Reno Road, just ahead of Twistex. He had watched the tornado touch down 10 minutes prior, where he had snapped an image of the forming tornado on his cell phone to send to a friend. Before he made a phone call, Henderson says,
"I'm having fun. I'm riding around chasing storms."
Henderson's friend expressed concern.
"You better stop doing that."
But Henderson kept chasing, continuing east on Reno Road. When the tornado made its launch north, Henderson kept pushing eastwards. The friend recalls hearing popping noises as debris hit Henderson's car. Soon, the call went dead. If the wedge keeps going north, both Twistex and Henderson won't just be hit by debris, but be directly struck by the violent tornado. In some miracle, the wedge decides to make a complete loop and begins to head south again. This sudden loop allowed Twistex to escape north, where they can turn west onto 10th Street to make another attempt at safely intercepting the tornado. The dark mass now deviates slightly to the east, and with this change in path, a change in speed. The tornado is no longer moving at the reasonable 20 miles per hour from the beginning of its life. Now, it's racing eastwards at more than 50 miles per hour. Any chaser east of the tornado now suddenly finds themselves escaping a deadly situation. There is a huge issue though. There are now potentially hundreds of chasers clogging the wet dirt roads, making it practically impossible to get out of the way. One chaser who finds himself stuck in the chaser traffic jam is Skip Talbot. He's in a group of chasers watching the storm approach from the intersection of 15th and Country Club Road. Up until now, dust has obscured the tornado from sight, except when lightning strikes briefly, illuminating the approaching circulation from behind. But even as the tornado closes, the heavy rain hides the chaotic Ferris wheel of vortices from sight. The group stays, waiting to gain a visual on the tornado. After all, the tornado is still about 2 miles away, but gradually, Talbot notices something unusual. He watches as the rain curtains sweep from left to right at increasingly fast speeds. The rain must be rushing around at more than 100 miles per hour. This triggers a sudden epiphany. The rain is the tornado. The entire area is starting to gain tornadic winds. The group makes the smart decision to scramble east. As they turn onto 15th Street, they join a bumper-to-bumper line of chasers, all running for their lives. Not everyone in this line is a chaser though. A couple minutes before, local resident Billy O'Neill and his son-in-law Jose Bonilla are watching the approaching tornado. Bonilla urges O'Neill to get into the neighbor's storm cellar, but he's too claustrophobic. Because of this, the pair decide to try and outrun the tornado in their car. They drive south towards 15th Street, where they see the line of chasers fleeing the approaching funnel. O'Neill stops and waves on the chasers, even as the tornado approaches closer and closer. Eventually, the last car passes, and they're able to turn onto 15th Street, but the tornado is moving way too fast. Unfortunately, there's no chance of escape. Ahead of them, they see a pickup truck turn south onto a dirt road. Inside is the driver, Dustin Heath Bridges, and passenger Wyatt Mindeman. They have both been caught in the storm whilst heading towards the nearby town of Yukon. O'Neill follows them in a last-ditch attempt to get out of the tornado's path. It's too late though. Power lines are brought down onto Bridges' truck, trapping both cars as the tornado overtakes them. Bonilla recalls, all the windows blew out. We started rolling. It was like slow motion. Both cars roll at least 150 yards before they come to a stop, right side up on a completely different road. Bonilla climbs out of their door and hears screaming from Bridges' pickup. He runs over to find Bridges hanging out at the door by his seatbelt. Mindeman is sat with a crushed leg, unable to help him. Bonilla rushes back to O'Neill to get help, but when he arrives, he realizes O'Neill has passed away. Bonilla grabs a piece of broken glass to cut Bridges free from his seatbelt. Paramedics soon descend on the scene, but when they arrive, Bridges has gone unresponsive. He and O'Neill are pronounced dead at the scene, the first deaths attributed to the tornado. 1 mile north on Reno Road, there is another line of chasers fleeing eastwards. The last person in this traffic is the previously mentioned Richard Henderson. Henderson was able to make ground on the tornado when it looped behind him, but now it's closing on him again. The crowd of vehicles now converge on Highway 81, a major road running north to south. Here, many chasers make a life or death decision, continue east and hope they can outrun the tornado on the dirt roads, or turn south onto Highway 81 and hope they can outrun the tornado before it hits them. Skip Talbot and Richard Henderson make the decision to continue fleeing east. At the same time, half a mile north of Henderson, a group of chasers from the Weather Channel are about to make a different decision. A decision that may be the biggest mistake of their lives. The Weather Channel team is made up of 3 vehicles. The lead vehicle is driven by Kevin Parrish, which is then followed by a vehicle named the Bettsmobile because it is operated by Mike Betts, a Weather Channel reporter. Betts' producer, Austin Anderson, and a cameraman named Brad Reynolds also accompany him. The convoy stops just north of Reno Road so Betts can make a live broadcast as the tornado approaches from the southwest.
All right, that's Simon Brewer, one of the storm riders, and I think we're trying to get a hold of Mike Bettis. He's out there in the field. I believe this is the Mike shot here.
That's the tornado hunt team.
Hey, Mike, I think he's just now plugging in.
Well, he's got a tornado behind him.
Yeah, Mike, can you hear us?
Guys, that's it. Right there. There's the tornado. We are just north of Union City, south of El Reno, south of I-40. Cops have blocked off 81 at this point and not letting traffic go southbound because the path of the tornado could come right over top of Union City or pass very close to it. Look at that monster. This is a huge tornado. If you live in Union City, south of El Reno, you have to take shelter. We may actually quickly try to get in our cars and get south of this. That'd be the safest place to do that. I think we have to go now in order to stay ahead of this and not get run over by it. So guys, I think we're gonna get back in our cars. We're gonna try to keep our cameras on top of this and we're gonna roll just to stay safe, okay? We'll be back with you in just a minute, but huge, violent tornado right now approaching Union City, south of El Reno, Oklahoma.
Their decision to drive south seems like a reasonable idea. To their north and west, giant, record-sized hail is falling. Traveling east would keep them in the potential path of the tornado, so booking it south towards clear air is by far the most appealing option. Sadly, once again, illusions hide the danger they're about to put themselves in. You see, the tornado is so large, it seems like it's barely moving yet again. But again, when a tornado doesn't appear to be moving, usually it's moving towards you. This illusion likely makes the team believe they are directly in the path, prompting the Weather Channel convoy to head south rather than stay put. The truth is, the tornado is now racing due east at 55 miles per hour. But it's not just moving at 55 miles per hour, because as well as this, the tornado's size is expanding faster now than any tornado in history. In less than 60 seconds, the wind field expands from 1 mile to 2 miles in width. This means the tornado is literally expanding towards Highway 81 at 30 miles per hour. Combining these values, the tornado's forward speed is coming directly at them at over 80 miles per hour. As the convoy begins to drive south, they quickly realize their mistake. The rain begins to clear, once again exposing the erratic multi-vortex core. The funnel is smaller in size now, but the contraction of the core has actually made the winds stronger. Aerial imagery from after the tornado shows the path of scouring the tornado was creating at this time. But even though the funnel is nearly a mile away, the wind field is beginning to cross the highway ahead of them. They pick up speed, traveling south at over 70 miles per hour, but still, the tornado is outpacing them. Parrish watches as dozens of vortices sweep towards them. It's now less than 300 yards away. Winds into the storm suddenly spike to more than 120 miles per hour, lifting and slamming his car into the central divider before sucking it into the roadside ditch. Behind him, Beth's filming.
Hold on, brothers. Hold on. Everybody jump, go. Just keep going if you can. Keep going.
Parrish can be seen in the ditch just before the winds of the Betsmobile are smashed in as the core passes directly overhead.
Can't. Everybody jump down. Everybody jump down.
Beth's camera is ejected from a window upon impact, but continues filming. The Betsmobile can be seen rolling away, with the 3 occupants still inside. To the north, a separate tour group operated by Randy Walton is attempting to navigate through the traffic jam of chasers on Reno Road. Their tour group is about 30 seconds ahead of Henderson, but instead of continuing east like Henderson, they turn north. 50 seconds later, they approach the intersection of Highway 81 and a road named Reuter Road. At this exact same time, the TwistX crew is now approaching Highway 81. Neither TwistX nor Henderson are aware of the incredible speeds at which the tornado has expanded eastwards. Tim says,
"We're probably gonna have to cross 81 if this road is good, and then try and drop down if we got some viable roads."
They pull up behind a Toyota Yaris. The driver is storm chaser Dan Robinson. Robinson has a rear dash cam rolling, filming TwistX right behind him. Robinson looks south and also sees the tornado crossing the highway. This convinces him to continue east onto Reuter Road. TwistX decides the same. Randy Walton records Robinson's Yaris crossing 81, followed by the TwistX crew's white Chevrolet Cobalt. Walton and his group would have no clue they were recording the last moments of the TwistX crew. Thinking quickly, Walton also decides to turn onto Reuter behind them.
Right on 81. Yeah. Copy. Go slow. Copy. I've never had anybody tell me to go slow before. Go to the highway, back where we came from and go keep going where we're going. Turn around? 10-4, turn around, and then we're going to go back the exact same way we were just going.
This decision to turn around, without a doubt, saved their lives. But Dan and TwistX are continuing down Reuter. To the south, Henderson is still stuck behind the line of chasers on Reno Road. After the powerful core strikes the Weather Channel convoy, it begins to do something that no chaser was expecting. It begins to move north. The heavy rain is not only slowing down the line of chasers in front of him, but it's also completely obscuring the tornado that's rapidly approaching him. As far as he's aware, the tornado is still a mile to his south, where he last spotted it. But in an instant, the winds begin to roar and debris begins to pelt his vehicle. There is quite literally no time to react to what's happening, as the tornado roars just behind him, east of the intersection of Alpheldale and Reno roads. His car is lifted and flung off the side of the road. He disappears into the darkness. Emily Sutton, a chaser just ahead of Robinson, films the core once again revealing itself. The funnel is a stovepipe shape, no more than 250 yards wide at its base, but the wind field is still growing. To the north, Twist-X still can't see the tornado. Heavy rain to their south means it's essentially invisible, and determining its motion is impossible. They can only assume it's continuing eastwards.
This thing is moving 40 miles an hour, 30 to 40 miles an hour to the east.
Tim is likely guessing here, as the tornado is much closer and moving much faster. As the rain begins to clear, it's hard to discern what exactly is to their south.
No, I see it. Well, maybe I don't.
Tim looks up the road. Dan Robinson's car is just ahead, and rain bands begin to sweep towards the road. He glances back towards the massive rain, where the funnel is beginning to reveal itself. The air around him grows, quote, eerily calm.
There's no rain here. Actually, I think we're in a bad spot.
These are the last words that we verifiably have of the Twist-X crew before the camera recording cuts off. It had used all of its storage, but at this point, the tornado is 90 seconds away. Robinson's rear dashcam continues to capture the white Chevy Cobalt. He also begins to realize what's happening.
What is that? What is that? It looks like the tornado. The car won't go. I've got to get out of whatever this is. The car just isn't going.
Twist-X's Chevy, with less power than Robinson's Toyota, falls behind him. The rear dashcam captures the car disappearing from a pair of headlights to a single speck of light. And soon, the tiny speck of light is extinguished. The wall of darkness has consumed the road. Oklahoma Highway Patrol Officer Betsy Randolph is nearby and is listening to her radio when she hears a disturbing shout. "We're going to die, we're going to die." The transmission went dead immediately afterwards. It is believed that this transmission was from the Twist-X vehicle as the main circulation overtook their car. By the time Robinson pulls clear of the tornado, it has grown to its full width, an incredible 2.6 miles wide. The rain has fully cleared, and now the inner mechanisms of the disgusting monster can be seen. Huge sub-vortices sweep around at incredible speeds. The mobile radar truck from earlier has paralleled the tornado to the north on Interstate 40 and is watching the tornado approach. As the radar scans the tornado, they record something incredible. Inside the circulation, wind speeds of 296 miles per hour, the second highest wind speeds ever, are measured. Moments later, a satellite tornado arcs around the south side of the main one with a ground speed of 175 miles per hour. This is the highest forward speed ever recorded for a tornado. Within minutes, this tornado has come close to or has broken numerous records. It continues moving northeast, forcing the radar team to begin to flee east on I-40. But here, they realize the magnitude of the disaster that is about to unfold. I-40 is a major highway that is packed with civilians and storm chasers alike. An EF5 strength tornado, with winds approaching 300 miles per hour here, could kill hundreds. Worse yet, if the tornado continues to track east, it will enter Oklahoma City. Panic begins to ensue in the Oklahoma City metro area. Residents haven't even begun to clean up from the EF5 and more the week before, and now an even larger storm is closing in on the city. The panic only worsens the mob of cars congesting the interstate. But even when the situation seems like it couldn't get any worse, the lead newscaster for the Metro, Mike Morgan, says this live on air.
Need to be, if you can go south right now, if you don't feel safe, go south. Get out of its way. Reed Timmer is on that. Reed, what do you have?
This dire language prompts tens of thousands more to attempt to flee the area towards the south, bringing the area's already heavily congested traffic to a complete standstill. Thousands are now stuck in the path of this massive, violent tornado. Its erratic movement means forecasters have no idea what it's about to do next. If it continues eastward, it will follow I-40, where hundreds of cars are stuck. The outcome of a violent tornado hitting this traffic jam could be a death toll in the hundreds. The tornado is once again hidden by rain as it approaches I-40. Sub-vortices still sweep around the main circulation, one of which swipes a small neighborhood of homes. Fortunately, the fast-forward speed of the sub-vortex spares total destruction of the area. As the tornado crosses I-40, it loops before heading due east. Following the interstate, hundreds of cars and structures are now in the path. And beyond the interstate, the densely populated suburbs of the Oklahoma City Metro are now in direct sight. It's not long until chaos begins to ensue on the interstate. Numerous 18-wheeler trucks were toppled. People's cars were picked up and rolled, and while many were able to survive, this luck would not last. Maria Martin, her husband, and their 3 children had pulled over their minivan onto the side of the interstate, hoping the tornado would pass by. Only the husband and 2 of the children were still inside the vehicle, injured but alive. Maria and her 17-day-old baby passed away. Just as the core of the tornado inches near the highway, a miracle seems to occur. The circulation begins to become increasingly messy and is weakening. Within a couple of seconds, the tornado would disappear into nothing. As the storm passes, law enforcement and chasers comb over the damaged path, racing nightfall to try and help those affected by the tornado. Fortunately, no structures were hit by the strongest winds in the tornado. If they had, EF5 damage could have easily been inflicted and more people could have died. But the real tragedies that occurred during the tornado were in vehicles. Along Highway 81 and I-40, dozens of cars have been flipped or rolled, but so far, no deaths have been reported. Canadian County Sheriff's Deputy Doug Green is one of the people assisting in search and rescue. He drives down Reuter Road when he spies something in a canola patch. He approaches the mangled heap of metal to find the body of Tim Samaras. By the next morning, the bodies of Paul Samaras and Carl Young will also be recovered after they are found ejected from the vehicle. Soon, Richard Henderson is also added to the list of fatalities attributed to the tornado, making the official death toll 8. Before today, no tornado had ever killed a storm chaser, but this one alone had killed 4, including a veteran chase group. Tim Samaras was well respected in the chase community, and although his work involved venturing close to one of the most dangerous places on the surface of the planet, he was regarded as someone who always put safety first. But the record-breaking and erratic nature of this tornado meant that no chaser was safe, and has become a historic footnote